Okay, first up is Martin, and unfortunately, just doing your Maya file doesn't allow me to see your textures on the surfaces. If you look at the submission directions, you can see that it says to send an archive scene. You do file archive scene, and the reason for that is that um, your Maya file doesn't have the texture images embedded in it. It just points to those files externally. So if you don't do archive scene, I don't have the texture images, and then I just see the gray model. So I can look at it a little bit from this, and from what I can tell here, it looks like pretty decent. But again, there's I can't get up close or really see any detail or rotate around it or anything. So you just need to resubmit the archive scene file. Um, so let's go on to the next one. Whoops, is Christy Brooks, and just need to get that open up. While we're waiting for this, a couple tips for everybody. A lot of people are having trouble sending something back to Maya. Well, if you go to in Mudbox, if you go to Layers and right mouse click and either do Export Selected or um, Export Channel Merged, like if you have multiple layers, then you can save a JPEG file and then map that to your surface in Maya rather than relying on the send to function in Mudbox, which people were struggling with. It wasn't working for everybody. So I'm going to open scene. I'm always going to set project first to get the stuff to work. Set and scenes. If you don't set the project, it probably won't find the texture images. And I mentioned this in a comment before. I don't know what's happened to his pants. I tried like a display show all, and they're not. There's that stuff, but and everything's shown. So it's kind of hard to fully judge this without the pants, but this texture looks good. And I can see you've painted some color variation on the face, and the eyes look good. The hair looks decent, and it's got some stretching here on the shoe, so you might want to take a look at the. Also, make sure to delete the history off this guy. Edit, delete all by type history, because that actually might be why the pants were gone. It's really kind of freaked out from all the history on there. You might want to. It doesn't look like you have. I thought that said delete all by type history. Doesn't look like. Maybe you've got a little bit of a texture on here, but maybe you want to put in fingernails or some knuckles. Those kinds of things can help with the hands. So yeah, if you could maybe delete all history and then resubmit this, that would help me judge a little bit better. But yeah, and there's some. I don't know if there's stretching because of the UV or if that's just your texture. No, it doesn't look like any stretching there, so that's just how the texture is painted. So, you might want to kind of work on that a little bit. Where is that? Actually, oh, you didn't actually paint that on there. You just stuck a whole texture image on the whole thing. Yeah, I think the idea was more to. Oh, looks like this was sort of a Photoshoppy kind of thing. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's not that noticeable, but if you can get some. Try using the painting tools in Mudbox to clean that up. if you want to redo it. But yeah, I'd like to see it with the pants. Um, okay, next up is Malcolm, and same thing. Bump map on the sweater not showing up. Let's kind of take a quick look at that. Before we jump into the next one. So it doesn't look like there's anything feeding into the input of the bump. That's probably why. Whoops. Why won't that? Oh, that's not working. Let's try it this way. I'll just select this and bump mapping. I'll just take this and middle mouse drag it on there. And so now we can see that the, oh, it's the out alpha of that. Why is the out alpha? Okay, let's see if that makes it show up. Yeah, it sure does. So, and then let's just get the bump depth to, let's say, 0.1 or something. And you can see that. Okay, so anyway, we were saying we're going on to Malcolm, and again, same issue as the first one with Martin. I can look at this, but it doesn't tell me much because I can't open it in Maya, because in Maya I'll only see gray shaded, because in the Maya file does not embed the texture images. The Maya file just points to the texture images, and that's why in the submission directions it says to use archive scene. So, you know, please resubmit with the archive scene file. But from what I can see here, I think the sweater looks a bit even, the jeans look pretty good, and a lot of the stuff haven't been textured yet. And the lips color contrast with the face is maybe a bit extreme. It looks like you haven't done the eyeballs, so it looks a little bit unfinished. So I would say, you know, keep going, but also resubmit as an archive scene file. The next up is Cody. And let's open that up in Maya. The Maya and Mudbox icons are so similar. So I always set project first to make sure the textures link. And set scenes. Okay, good. And yeah, maybe not quite so dark gray on the chin. That looks a little, it's starting to look more like dirt than stubble. You got a hair texture on there. We got a good looking kind of picture here. It seems like I'm surprised so many people use the exact same. I think maybe it wasn't clear. The idea is more to kind of do your own, you know, textures rather than copying that exactly. And this, yeah, it would be good if you painted in some kind of like, you know, sort of the zipper stuff here and the button and the pockets and the seam a little bit more, so there's not a little bit more going on there. And then again here, you know, give some idea, you know, maybe the sole is a different color than the, oh, and you put the sweater on the socks, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, this isn't painted like in Mudbox. This is just, oh yeah, these are just like you threw a texture on stuff. It looks like not actually painted it. So, and you know, you can put more detail in the hand, like some fingernails, knuckles, those kinds of things. So yeah, I think you can continue working on this and maybe use the paint tools a little bit more. Um, okay, next up is Angela. And really nice rendered image. That's pretty cool to see. Good shadow, and it looks really great. Let's open that up in Maya. Set project. Whoops. Go up one. Set. And then open up the scene. Okay, yeah. It looks really good. Gosh, just really nice paint job on the face. Look at that. And the hair, look at that, beautiful. Just really stylized and nice. And I love that you've also painted some hair on the actual face, and so it blends in there. And just great kind of color variation on the face. It's a little bit of a funny, dark sort of shadow thing going on here that looks weird from this side. It's almost like it was painted from the front there without considering this angle, because you don't, it's almost like you painted the shadows into the face. Eyeballs really good, eyebrows great. So yeah, look at this sweater, it's really nice. And look at these hands and fingernails. I mean, that is just really good work. Yeah, look at that. That is not easy to do. Look at all the detail on there. I don't know if you started with a photograph or what, but it's turned out really good. Yeah, and I love the even the crease on the pants and the socks. There's little ducks on it. And look at the stitching on the shoe. Look at that. And a separate sole. I mean, this is just really good exemplary work. Just great, great job. Actually, this is the best texturing job I've ever seen in this class. It's really good. The pockets and just such attention to detail. Amazing. Great. Oh yeah, that's unlit and that's lit. Oh, so are we... Oh, I'm sorry. So that... Okay. I was just seeing a shadow on the face. I didn't realize... Sorry. I didn't realize lighting was on, obviously. So that's perfectly fine. My bad. Yeah, look at that. And even the eyes got all this extra detail. It's just great. Really, really great. I can't, there's nothing I can say to that. It's just excellent work. Exemplary. Next up is Tegan. And yeah, there were some issues. Hopefully I answered those questions. Set project. Okay. And oh, is this the one with the weird camera issue? So I guess you didn't fix that? I don't know. To fix that, I don't know what, I looked at the camera, I could not figure out what the heck was going on, so I just said make a new scene and import it. Although that could kind of screw up your names, so actually if you're going to do that in the import options, sometimes importing stuff into new scenes solves some weird problems, but just oh yeah, we already have this off. Resolve clashing nodes with the file name, and so only nodes that have the same name in the file they're importing into will it add the file name to the front of it, which means most of them it won't. So your, you know, like your object names stay the same. Otherwise, it puts the file name in front of everything. Yeah, good. Yeah, you were saying about the eye. yeah, here's just a reference. I can do Control H to hide that. Yeah, it looks like some of the textures are a little unfinished here. That looks alright. The jeans look alright. Looks like you haven't finished the shoes yet. So, yeah, partially done, but what you have is looking good. So I'd say keep going. You know, one thing for all of you guys, if you have some problem with Mudbox, you can try. You know, let's say this for some reason won't send to Mudbox. Well, you can export selection options and use OBJ export. If you don't see that in the list, then go to Windows Setting Preferences, Plugin Manager, and make sure that the OBJ export is checked in both these columns, and then it should show up there. And then you can export this. Export selection options, choose OBJ, export, and then import that OBJ into Mudbox, and then in Mudbox you can right mouse click, export selected, and then save that as like a JPEG, and then and put it in your source images directory, and then back in Maya, you know, you can, you know, on your material. Just gonna delete history off that. I'll delete history off everything actually. You know, you can just map the color to that, the thing that you saved out of Mudbox. So that's a workaround if it's not sending back and forth. So yeah, you know, good progress but unfinished, so keep going. Next up is Dewey. Just making sure that's still working. Okay. All right. Just going to Maya. Open. Set project. You should make sure your images are in your source images directory. I mean, it still works, but that's the proper organization. Yeah, I like that you sort of attempted to do the wrinkle shading. I don't know necessarily came out quite right, but it's okay. It looks like there's some kind of logo or something on the back here. Maybe clean that up. I'd probably do that in Mudbox. I like this a lot. That's really nice. And the plaid collar looks good, although why does that look that's a lamp. Oh, it's a fawn. That's why. So I would just kind of take the specular color down on that, because the fabric's not going to be shiny like that. I would say the same for this one. You're not going to want that to be shiny. I think that looks better with it not being shiny. Hands look a little berserk. Got this big stripe there. It kind of looks like you try to take a photo of a hand and map it on there, but then didn't blend it, and it doesn't quite line up correctly with the knuckles and stuff, so it ends up looking a little weird. So I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, the nails are kind of coming, but the skin color doesn't match the face skin color at all, and it's kind of splotchy, so I don't think that's working that well. So I might sort of redo the hands. Yeah, maybe some texture painted there. Maybe this is kind of funny. It's like a repeat of the collar. And the hair is alright. And the face is alright. Maybe a little more color variation would be good. So yeah, alright. I think just some improvement on the hands are pretty distracting. Take the specular down on those surfaces. Texture the shoes. And I think you'll be doing alright. Next up is Elias. Let's just see if there's anything on the... Okay, set project. let's take a look. I had 6. Alright. Yeah, we got some color variation on the face. The hair is alright. Eyebrows looking a little sort of stretchy the way they're done. So maybe take another pass at those. I think it doesn't look like you've got a texture on here. Yeah, it's just the color white, so you might want to get a fabricy texture on there. Sweater looks okay. Hand could use some fingernails and knuckles and that kind of thing. Jeans look good. Shoes look a little weird with that, you know, sort of just a leather kind of slapped on them. I don't think that's going to work well. So I think you want to get a sense of like the seams of where they are. Maybe they're a little darker along the seams, and yeah, that could use some work. Maybe paint the texture rather than just assigning the texture. Okay. Next up is Megan. Yeah, you're mentioning the things, you know, the organization thing. It's good to make sure all your source images, even the ones that are created in Mudbox, are in your source images directory, and that your scene files are in your scene directory, and you're working inside of a Maya project if you're ending up with all those weird folders or something. We can take a look at that in a second. So, yeah, that one's in the right spot, actually. Yeah, these seem to be in the right place. Okay, this one is in... Oh, it's in source images. For some reason, it's looking back up. Normally, it would just give the local path. So, anyways, yeah, it's looking all right. I like the sweater texture. I think that's kind of working. And the color. Maybe got some color variation in the face. I think you could paint more of a hair texture on the eyebrows. Jeans look good. I like the pockets are nice. And this thing here, yeah, these socks look good. I think the shoes could use some, you know, painting on. But yeah, overall looks good. I think the hands could use a little more, maybe some fingernails and knuckles and those kinds of things. So yeah, so I think this deserves a little bit more work and attention, but what you have done looks pretty good. I think you could just do a little bit more, particularly the shoes and the hands. Okay, next up is Griffin. So a lot of problems. Head and hand are the same. We'll take a look at that. The color correct under color utility is kind of fine. Okay, well, let's open this up. That's alarming. Where is your Maya file in here? It should be in a scenes directory in the project, but you put it looks like somewhere else. Um, so, I see. Okay. So in the GSDB user thing. Okay. Probably wouldn't have guessed that. So yeah, make sure everything's in the same project folder because it looks like you have your stuff spread out between two project folders, and I think that's where the confusion was. Yeah, so for example, I bet you these are somewhere else. Just gonna delete history, Alt Shift D, take a look here. So this is in the default project. Oh, yeah, and you have the hand texture mapped to the face, so that explains that right there. I don't know if you have a separate face texture somewhere, but anyways, it's not finding this. Because it's way up in that default project. So, oh, here's your head. So head specular, though, not head texture. So I don't even see a head texture. I mean, you have the hand texture on the head. So, just make sure a different material, if like assign new material, like a Lambert or whatever, maybe Wanafong or something, but yeah, whatever you decide, assign a new material, call it like, head material. Whoops, oh no, that's the, sorry, head material, for example, and then just not to be confused with, the hand material. And then, you can assign a different texture to that. So you want to make sure you have different materials associated with the, oh, it found the hair. That's pretty cool. The jeans look really good. Nice. The socks look nice. I think the shoes are okay, but again, I think you're going to want to, have some variation, have the sole be a different color, and maybe add some sort of seams and those kinds of things. Sweater's looking alright. Maybe a little bit low res. It looks a little kind of JPEG compression-y compared to some of the other stuff. So as far as the level of detail, so maybe kind of a higher resolution texture or something. I'm not exactly sure what's happened here. That it looks so sort of blurry. So yeah, a few things to fix. And again, if you're having trouble sending something back from Mudbox, if you're in Mudbox, you can go to the layers thing and go to your paint layer and do export selected or export channel merged if there's multiple layers, and then save that as a JPEG, and then go back to Maya. And for example, on the head, you can if you save that in your source images, when you save it on a Mudbox, and you add a file and browse to that and map that there, you can do it manually, and that's that should avoid any problem of sending it back and forth if that's not working. So yeah, it's okay. I think some things to fix and resubmit once you get that stuff fixed. Finally, we have Melissa. Oh, was there some other question on this one? Couldn't find color correct. And let's just, whoops, not hypergraph, sorry, hypershade. And create color utilities. What did you say? Color correct? Was it that one? So, color correct. Couldn't find color correct. Yeah, there it was. Okay. Um, okay, some technical problems. Having trouble with the clone tool to copy one side of the pants texture to the other. That might be tricky, but we can take a look at that because they're sort of mirrored, so I think that might be hard to do, but we can take a look. Um, okay. Yeah, this is a pretty nice paint job. I can see. Oh, look at the little like veins on the side, or wrinkles, or whatever those are. I don't know if it's supposed to be veins or wrinkles. They kind of look like veins because they're um, the way they're sticking out. Maybe where's the bump node? There it is. Maybe you want to do like a -1 on that. You know, if you want it to look more like wrinkles and less like vein. I don't know. But yeah, it looks cool. I like the color variation on there. The hair looks nice. Same sweater, collar. Good job on the jeans. Some interesting wrinkles here. Um, yeah, again, you've got the soles on the feet. That's good, but I don't know. I think that it just looks like a sort of a moccasin or something. You know, I think you really want to get some sense of seams in there, painted on there. Um, but yeah, good. This came out really well. Nice work.